Good afternoon and welcome to the the parking task force. We're going to talk about the marina, but we have one more member who is coming. She said she was going to be late, but she'll just come in when the time is right. So with that, I think we'll go into the agenda. The first of which is announcements and public comments. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? It's not on the agenda. If not, minutes. Wayne, thank you again. Anybody got any comments for the minutes?
Gee, I will comment. Very quickly, I was not there.
You weren't there?
I wasn't there.
Oh, you were there in spirit.
I am pissed,
Yeah,
too.
all
That's
right.
what I thought, too.
Okay, well, we'll cross
Thank
that.
you. Anybody else? Anybody got a motion?
I move they be approved as written.
Thank you.
Second?
Have to, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. That's done. The next, I was hoping Dan Hort would be here. The next on our agenda is data collection and outreach. He told me that an email account has been established, but when I went to send something to it about an hour ago, it got bounced, so I've reported it, but I think that's going to be our email address, parkingtaskforce@wellfleet-ma.gov. So any comments by the public that can be submitted through that. And next, we've got.
Denny, who picks up the emails? Does it go to Dan? or-
I'm gonna, that needs to be decided too. Either I will or Dan will and forward them to me, or Dan has a new assistant in the office there, so hopefully something will get done, but I'll be checking on it frequently. We have Mr. John Ryerson as our first on the agenda. And you can bring Richard up when you wish, or whatever. But thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Got questions, or you want me to give a speech, or what?
I'll give a speech.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned when we talked is you might just do a daily routine of what's the daily routine?
Daily routine at the beach?
Yeah, at the beach. I mean,
Well, I get there first at Whitecrest, and that's usually about 8:30 in the morning. And then the rest of the people that work for the beach get there hopefully by 9. And I assign all the people where they need to go for that day and what we're going to do for that day.
To all the different beaches or just Whitecrest? So when you say you assign.
All the beaches
All the
and
beaches.
ponds.
Okay,
Yeah. So in general, we have probably, I would say, 12 to 15 people that get placed here and there. Among those people are the parking control officers, and usually I have, including myself, at least 2 others, and we're the ones that drive around and enforce the parking rules and regulations by writing tickets for people that are not following the rules.
okay.
So that's pretty, I mean, it's pretty basic.
Is that just on Ocean View Drive, or do you like Long Pond, Coon Hollow?
All the
too?
ponds,
So if they're parked along the side of the road on Coon Hollow, you ticket
a-
them?
anywhere on this side of Route 6.
Do the police do any ticketing of those cars at all?
No, not really. I mean, they can, but they don't. We take care of it. So anywhere from Route 6, what could I say? The Count Hollow Road, and the other end would be Gull Pond Road. So that whole area there we do. We also do on the other side of Route 6, which is Duck Harbor, Mayo Beach, Indian Neck. So we cover all those areas. So we cover those parking lots. We don't have attendants on that side of Route 6, but we do cover those with the parking control officers.
Powers Landing, the
Oh,
gut?
right,
Powers
and-
Landing, the gut?
yeah, and the gut,
Okay,
yeah. And Burton Baker Beach.
all right.
I consider that part of Indian Neck.
The gut is 8 spaces, like on the left-hand side of the road as you're driving down?
Well,
Something-
I mean, depends on how you, I mean, it's not marked off,
Yeah.
so I would say 8 to 12, maybe.
So can you park all the way from the beginning of the road to the end, or is there a point where it stops?
No, there's a cutoff point down on the end there,
Okay.
where you can park, there's signs there.
Do you remember how many tickets you might have written last year, roughly? I mean,
Myself,
or just the whole group?
Or average weekend.
I would say hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you have any idea, Andy? Yeah, so yeah, Jeannie McLaughlin would have that information. She gets the tickets that we turn in. But there are definitely hundreds of tickets that we write.
In the course of a season.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So between the 3 or 4 of us that are doing it, during a day, we could write anywhere from 10 to 30 tickets, probably. Depending on,
And the other ticketing officers are, who?
who are they?
Yeah,
Myself,
yeah,
Mr. Anderson here,
okay.
Roger Nelson, and his grandson, Andrew Nelson.
Okay.
I mean, Andrew Anderson, I'm sorry. Kreckler, I'm sorry. And who else? Suzanne Thomas, she usually writes 1 ticket per summer, at least.
She goes for the handicap spot.
Yeah. So I think, and there was, let's see, Paxton Green is another one,
Patsy Green?
yeah. And I think last summer we had Sam. As a spare.
Okay.
So,
And
do the police ever write tickets for this, or is it basically just?
When we're doing it, I don't think they ever write a ticket over there. I mean, why would they?
No, I agree, I'm just curious whether.
Because, I mean, they have better things to do
I
probably than.
understand.
I think they do them down at Town Hall. They monitor the employee parking spaces at Town Hall. I'm not sure if they do much else, but, so if you're not.
Well,
an
they
employee-
may do that, but I think also a couple of the employees at Town Hall
Yeah.
monitor the parking lot. If I'm not mistaken, is that true?
There's usually one person in town hall sworn in to do that.
And in your recollection, how often did Whitecrest fill up on weekends? Obviously, just about every weekend, you think?
I would say every weekend if the weather was good.
Okay.
Yeah, it would fill up by 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12, sometimes 10 o'clock.
And the posted hours on the web are not 9 to 5, but you actually only monitor till 4, is that right? Or
Last year, we started out doing it from 9 to 5, and then we discovered that after 4, it was kind of silly to have people working and paying them
Right.
to do nothing, basically.
And an employee, does he work how many days a week? 6, 7?
5, but 35 hours a week.
Okay. And the
We have some employees that work 2 days, 3 days. I mean, it's,
And the lifeguards are totally different group of, managed by someone else, or?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
by Suzanne.
If I may,
Please.
did you, last year we had a period of unusually hot weather, which, in my experience, a lot of people went to the beach, try to stay at the beach for as long as possible, and, it was difficult to get there. So did you find any increase or an anomaly during that period, if you remember back at those months?
Well, I think what happens is if the day is going to be hot, we fill up pretty early. And then as the day goes on, it gets hotter and hotter, then you find people leaving earlier than normal. That's what I would say.
Okay.
And sometimes we leave earlier than normal. If the temperature gets above 96 degrees, then in the parking lot, which actually in the parking lot would be
110, at
probably 100 in some degrees,
least, yeah.
we sent people home, which only happened, I would say, twice last year.
Now, in the parking lot itself, not down on the beach, I don't believe there's any good cell reception at LeCount Hollow. Do you find the other 3 beaches, or at least at the top of the entry point, do you have cell reception or not?
I get cell reception at every beach, including LeCount Hollow. I think it depends on what kind of service you have. So I think I have Verizon.
Is that, I'll project, how's that? Is that at the parking lot or at the beach? Can you get reception on the beach?
In the parking, on the beach,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
yeah, I don't really go down on the beach, so.
What would you suggest for improvements? We briefly, the bus situation has been a problem in the past as far as trying to monitor them. Would you recommend we limit them, or?
Well, as far as parking goes, the buses, there's no parking problem with the buses because we don't let them park.
Right, but dropping off, masses of people and that kind of thing, yeah.
Apparently by Massachusetts state law, a bus can drop people off anywhere on a public road.
Yep.
So there's really nothing we can do about that. And then if they try to park, we make them go away,
Right.
pretty much.
And if we were to try to return in some fashion to a prepaid system and give them space at, say, the elementary school or senior center?
Well, my opinion is if you're going to charge people for parking, you have to have a place for them to park.
At the beach?
I mean, and I think that's probably Mass state law also.
Okay.
I mean, you can't just charge people because they're walking into a beach.
Right.
I don't think.
But we don't want to because it increases our insurance liability. If we charge
Oh,
per head charge.
I don't know any, I'm not an insurance person, so
Yeah,
you'd have to
no,
ask somebody else about
turn that
insurance.
to-
I don't deal with that.
And do you don't have any problem staffing? Do people start, leaving towards the end of the summer and that kind of?
Oh, we always do at the end of the year because we have college students that
Right.
have to go back, and they might have to go back earlier than some other people. But we have our regular people that we've had for year after year. And actually, I would say more than half of our staff now are senior citizens.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not like years ago when everybody was a high school student or something. So it works out pretty well, actually. So those people can stay on until Labor Day.
Excellent.
Now, are there any particular problems at any particular beaches that you could fill us in on?
Problems as far as, well, the main problem is we have too many people that want to park and not enough parking spaces. I mean, that's the problem.
Is that,
Beyond that, there's really no problems other than compliance, people without stickers, people that try to park that shouldn't be parking, people that park in areas where they shouldn't be. Those are the problems. The main problem is we have only 500 parking spaces and maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people that want to park. So you figure that out.
is it generally true at all the beaches, John?
What? That-
The fact that they fill up in the morning? and-
Well, there's different beaches that fill up sooner than others. The first place to fill up is the Beachcomber parking lot, and now we don't really have anything to do with that. And then because of that, we overflow into Whitecrest. The beach that filled up almost every day that it was nice was Newcomb Hollow, and that fills up usually before noon. The Beachcomber fills up at like 10 o'clock on a nice day. And I would say LeCount Hollow, probably Newcomb fills up next. Whitecrest fills up next, and then maybe LeCount Hollow is usually the last one to fill up.
And on the bay side, same issues?
Not really. The parking lots on the Bay Side, I would say, never fill up, in my estimation. Would you say that, Amy?
I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah, they never fill up.
That probably is up when there's smog.
Suzanne, I've never seen it fill up. But that's just,
Do you find many people at the beaches on the bay side? There are a lot of tickets issued there,
we probably issue more tickets on the Bay Side than the Ocean Side because there are no attendants there. So
Right.
people feel, since there's nobody there to watch them, they can just go in and do whatever they want.
It's now
And,
$75, right? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's $75 everywhere.
I think handicap's 300, is it, or not?
Hmm?
If you park in a handicap spot, I think it's
$300,
$300.
yeah. We, actually, last year, I think we wrote more of those than we ever have.
Wow.
Yep. And some people just will park anywhere because they don't care how much it costs for a ticket. And that happens quite often on Cahoon Hollow Road because they want to go to the Beachcomber and they feel that's not too much to pay to go to the Beachcomber.
At Burton Baker, there's the asphalt lot. The section that goes out there where you might park if you're gonna go oystering or something, is that also a ticket area, or do people park there?
I'm not sure what,
It's just like, if you go beyond the lot, there's a sandy area where you can drive around. Facing the,
you're talking about Indian Neck or?
Indian Neck, I'm sorry, yeah.
But
But on
yeah,
the
you
far end
can't-
of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't park out there unless you have a sticker.
Okay.
Unless you're an oysterman, and
Yep, all right.
you can park out there. Oyster person.
And there's a way to identify those people, the shellfishing?
Yeah, we know who they are.
Okay. Sure.
Do you have any idea, are you privy to the remittance of those tickets that you issue? Or is that Jeannie Mac, or if that goes? to-
Jeannie Mac, I don't know who pays, who
pays or
doesn't pay,
How
or,
many of those get paid?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I do know, however, that if they don't pay them, that when they go eventually to get their registration or their driver's license, that they will be denied until they pay it. And the farther they go out, the more it's gonna cost them. That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, I can tell you that that's true.
So if they don't, if they think they're gonna get away with it by ripping it up and throwing it at us, which
Right.
people do, then we pick them up and we turn them in, and then they're in big trouble already because it's gonna cost them more for doing that.
I believe the
Extra 100, yeah.
the reciprocity only covers if you have mass plates. If you have New York or Connecticut, it's not, we're the ones,
The way I understand it, unless Suzanne can correct me, is that it's anywhere.
No, it is anywhere.
Massachusetts only.
Well,
Oh, I'm not sure.
that's not
and
the way I
people
understood
still
it.
probably pay them, but we can't yet go after them. We're only one of 6 states that doesn't allow us to go after them for parking. If they do a moving violation, speeding, whatever else, you can. But I don't know why we are that way. But
Whatever.
you would think P-Town would be clamoring too, because they must have humongous amount of tickets.
You
to
know,
pay.
I think just the fact that they get a ticket and it irritates them enough,
Oh, yeah,
that's a good penalty in
Oh,
and
yeah.
of itself.
makes them learn the
Yeah.
next time.
So whether they pay them or not, it's not my job.
Yep.
There's been some discussion amongst the board here about, with regard to Newcomb, to have shuttle buses if there's no place to park, doing away with the line that goes up the hill and substituting shuttle buses for that. Do you have any thoughts on, that?
Where are you going to run the shuttle bus from that they can park?
To be determined.
To be determined.
Where?
To be determined.
To be determined.
I mean, if we located a place where we could have like a satellite spot.
I don't know, you'd have to try it. I'm not sure people would actually enjoy doing that, but people want to go to the beach where they want to go, and they want to bring all their stuff, and
That's been my position.
it's kind of
strongly,
hard, it's
but I
kind of
just
hard
wanted
to
know
bring
what
all
you
your
felt.
stuff on a shuttle bus. So I don't know how that would work. I mean, it could be tried. But I'm not really seeing where a shuttle bus could run from.
Well, we were thinking maybe the school
The school, there's not really a lot of parking spaces at the school, Denny.
there.
I mean, go down and count. There's
Probably,
very-
it'll probably
there's
only
not really-
weekends too. I mean, it'll
Huh?
only be weekends probably, not Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something like that.
Newcomb Hollow fills up almost every day that the
Yeah.
weather's nice. Overflows and has a line.
One issue that's been raised by people particularly at that beach, is if you go down, there is a long line. You have to wait in line, which, that's life. But, I mean, a lot of people will just drop people off and then return and pick them up at a later time, and that can't be accommodated. Do you think there's a way to move the shack I know they don't want to go in and say, I'll come right back out. But is there a way to move the shack back far enough so people could do a U-turn, drop people off and leave, do you think? or-
If you wanted to lose 20 or 30 parking spaces, you could do that. I don't see what the point would be. So I couldn't really say. I think that would probably not be a good idea.
What time does Newcomb generally fill up? Do you have a sense of?
On a nice day, 11 o'clock.
Is that regardless of tides?
In general, yes, because people like to go to that beach. It's a very friendly beach for children and older folks and stuff. The dune isn't as high, so, you know, it's a beach where it doesn't really depend that much on the tide, I don't think. There are not a lot of surfers really that seem to go there compared to other beaches, because they can't get in.
When you, yeah.
Yeah, it's accessible, right, yeah.
When you first arrive in the morning, we're hearing people are bringing their cars down at 7 or 8 o'clock, leave one and you know, come back later. Do you see a lot of cars, any of the beaches when you first arrive during the?
Not a whole lot,
Okay.
maybe half a dozen or so. And if they park and then they go, they always try to pull the, well, you know, I was here and nobody was here, so. And we say, well, there's a sign there, it says 9 o'clock, you have to have a
Yeah,
sticker. So generally what we do is we give them a half hour after 9 o'clock, and at 9:30 we write them a ticket,
okay.
which we're not happy about, but that's the only thing we can do, really.
And do you think there's a significant impact by taxis or other third-party people dropping people off, Uber, whoever it might be?
You know,
Here they're poaching.
I'm sure that's going on, but I can't identify these
No.
taxi people. I mean, do they have a sign or something?
Well, City Cab does, and some of the, I don't know if Uber drivers have to have a
I don't-
windshield plaque now.
Uber doesn't really.
Sticker.
I know that we have school buses, we have regular giant buses, we have limousines, we have small buses, we have, I guess, Uber and Lyft,
Yeah,
and we have Cape Cod Cab. So we have all these people that are trying to drop people off. And they have a right to do that,
yeah,
as long as they don't come into our parking lot and try to park. If the Cape Cod Cab people come into our lot at Whitecrest, and it's not the Funk bus, we chase them out.
Yep.
Because they're not allowed to be there. They're strictly on the roads and stuff.
Where do they drop them off at the beaches, at Newcomb, White
You
Crest?
mean,
Right by the
most
cars.
people are dropped off at the top of the hill at the beachcomber. The rest of the beaches, there's hardly anybody getting dropped off by these buses or Uber or Lyft, as far as I can tell, or Cape Cod Cab. Every once in a while, maybe. But the whole thing, the whole problem with buses and all that stuff is because of the success of the beachcomber. I mean, that's a destination, people want to go there. And it's not only to go to the restaurant, it's like just to go there, go to the beach. I mean, on 4th of July, there were maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people on the beach there, and there's no way 4,000 or 5,000 people can fit inside the beachcomber. The one problem we have at Whitecrest is the Whitecrest parking lot is like a place where people can park and go to the beachcomber, and they take the shuttle bus. So I would say half the people at Whitecrest park there, or more probably, and it's a satellite parking lot for the beachcomber.
Do you think that this kiosk that Suzanne's considering, do you think that'll be a success, having and instead of paying cash, you go to a machine, pay it with a credit card or a debit card, and then get a sticker and put it on your car? Is that?
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think it would, number one, it would, the people that work for me there, I wouldn't have to have as many people.
Right.
On a busy day, 2, 3, 4, like 6 people there trying to park cars
The Whitecrest?
and take money.
Yeah.
And some days there, we would take in 5, 6, 7. think our biggest day last year, we took in almost $10,000 in cash. Now, we shouldn't be doing that, because we don't, we don't have a booth, we don't have a cash register.
How do they deal with that? You just you put it in a bag and drop it at one of the banks, or take it to town hall?
I do that, I take the cash as often as I can and get it out of there. But most people that come in ask if they can pay by credit card, and we have no way of doing that, so. So I think the kiosk would be great. Then I would only have to have 2 people there, guiding people from one side to the other side and back and forth and so on. Maybe 3 when it got really busy, because you gotta park cars in the back lot.
It'd be a form of access control, too.
The what?
It would be a form of access control.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think it would be faster. We could get people off the road quicker, which would, we wouldn't have as much congestion on the road.
Yep.
Because now, you know, it takes a while for somebody to get their money out, and maybe it's not even in the front of the car. They gotta go in the trunk, and they, you know, it's, so the cars are lining up. We might have 20 to 50 cars lined up down the road, trying to get into the parking lot, and, you know, we gotta do it quick. And we're asking people to make change, and they're digging around in their car for coins, because they don't have enough money, or they don't have any cash, and then you gotta send them to an ATM. I mean, there's a lot of problems with that. So if they could just stick their credit card or debit card into the machine, that would be a big help to us,
okay.
big help.
I don't know if we've gotten this far, Suzanne, but when you pay $30 for that, is that once you're out, and you have to pay another 30, or you can get back in?
No,
if it's a
it's
spot?
like, you get a sticker,
Right,
well, a tag, and that tag is good for the whole day.
right,
It's only good for Waycrest. It's not good for the other beaches.
right.
So if they want to go out and get lunch and come back, they can do it, as long as there's a space.
But if there's a line, they have to wait.
But we don't, they got to wait in line.
Okay.
And we don't save spaces for people. People always want us to save a space. We don't do that. People have tried to stick chairs and stuff. Yeah, it's like Boston in the snow. So we don't do that. We don't allow them to do that.
It must be Marty Walsh doing that.
So,
Go for it.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what is your experience with bicycles? Are there more people biking to the beach and?
I would say there's more than there used to be. But it's not really a problem. We have bike racks, and if they get full, then they put them maybe by the fence and stuff. So that's not really a problem at all, except on Pan Mass Challenge Day, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But, obviously, it's well signed, good signage on Ocean View Drive that you can't park anywhere, but we're hearing from some of the neighbors there, Wilson Ave, all the little side streets that people poach there. Is that something you can ticket or not?
Sure.
Yep.
But it has to be a public road.
Has to be a public road. If
Right,
it's
so
a
it can't be
private
a
road.
paper street, it has to be
Yeah.
or a named road, I guess.
I'm not sure.
Or not a private road.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
There are a lot of private roads.
Had this discussion several years ago with the chief of police, and we can only write parking violations on town roads. If it's a private road, a development road, paper road, dirt driveway, we can't. The only thing the homeowners can do is to put up a sign that says, no parking allowed, no trespassing, violators will be towed. And then the homeowner calls the tow company, pays for the tow, and gets reimbursed from the owner of the car.
Okay.
Can they call the police to enforce that, or they
Nope.
have to do it themselves?
Nope, that's what the police told me, that this is how it works. It's totally a civil operation.
Okay.
Spike strips work too.
I'm going to put those at Newcomb Hollow. The other piece is that the police can come and write violations, certain violations, moving violations on private property, but only a limited few, operating to endanger. And there's one other that I don't remember. So it's really very restricted what citations can be written.
Suzanne, before you leave, if I may, what is the rule on charging bicycles coming in?
We don't charge.
I know, but if you wanted to, is there a liability to the town if you do that? It's another.
No, it's as a courtesy, we let them park for free. If we decide to charge, we can charge. because it's just for parking the bike, leaving
I
it
mean,
in the
I'm not
parking
saying that
lot.
we should, I'm just saying in the future, if it becomes,
I think the amount of revenue generated would not be worth the pushback.
okay,
Do we have enough space, enough racks now currently, do you think?
yeah.
We have some racks, and we have some split rail fencing they use. Signposts. No.
No, okay,
The only day that bicycles are a problem, Ocean View Drive, is Pan Mass Challenge.
yeah.
Is that part of the route?
Yep. Oh, yes.
Yes, it is.
So roughly, how often does the Whitecrest lot get filled up or nearly filled up?
Well, it depends on the weather, but if it's a really nice, sunny, hot day, it'll fill up. If it's not, then it
Almost any such day?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And if it's Saturday, even if it's not a nice day, it'll probably fill up. Sunday may or may not. The Whitecrest lot is dependent upon how quick the Beachcomber lot fills up. And this year, we've gotten the Beachcomber to open their lot earlier than they used to. I don't know why. They used to open it at 10 for some reason, and now they open it at 9, and that's alleviated a lot of the problem with lines of traffic up and down Ocean View Drive, which used to be a nightmare. But this year, they were very nice and cooperated with the police department and opened at 9 usually. And when that happens, all these cars that are lined up will go right down and go into their lot. And then we don't have a problem with traffic control on Ocean View Drive. However, we did, even with that, we still had some days where it was a big problem, where the traffic would go quarter to half a mile up towards Whitecrest on the one side of the road, and then people can't get by, and then they come down the other way, and they create it's...
So maybe, I was writing something down, maybe you answer, I forget. When does Cahoon fill up, the parking lot there behind the Beachcomber roughly? Is there a,
It'll fill up, like I said, at 9 o'clock.
I missed it, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering, okay. Right
If they
away.
open the lot, or soon thereafter. It takes about 20 minutes for them to fill that lot with that amount of traffic coming down there, or half
Is there a
hour.
reason why that fills up so soon compared to
People wanna go to the
everybody
beach
else?
somewhere.
What's that? No, is there a reason?
I don't know, ask Dan there, he's
Okay,
the manager.
They want to go to Cahoon Hollow Beach and the Beachcomber.
Everybody wants to buy a hat?
It always fills up first. And the restaurant doesn't open until 11:30, so people are parking at 9 o'clock
Right.
and going to the beach.
And,
We don't-
and if I can ask, what time do they start lining up before the 9 o'clock bell is?
We're
Fourth
there
of-
at 8 a.m., so like
4th of
John
July,
said, if
7
Mark,
a- 7
normally we
a.m.
open at 9, but if Mark says there's a line starting, open it up, then we'll just send 2 guys out and just start. Normally it's 9, but if it's busy and there's a line, we'll open it up whenever, 8:30, 8:20, 8:40.
Ever consider serving breakfast?
We have, but
Yeah.
And do people need stickers to go there? It's
No,
administered
no, it's
by the
$20
Beachcomber.
fee in the back and the front, and if you have a Wellfleet sticker and there's space provided, we honor the Wellfleet sticker.
But you can go to the front only with a Wellfleet sticker,
Or you
right?
can go to the back.
Oh, you can go to the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
But those lots fill up right away, and then as soon as that's full, then everyone starts going to Whitecrest.
And the
That's why Whitecrest fills up.
Beachcomber administers those parking lots, not
Yeah, the
town.
Beachcomber leased the front lot from the town last year.
Okay.
The 23 spaces out front.
And the spaces that are, I guess, by terms of the leases, some have to be set aside for emergency vehicles and all, are those actually cordoned off, or they're just, you'll make them available if they're needed, kind of?
No, they're cordoned off with, orange cones.
Okay.
There's space provided for the lifeguards as well.
I have a question for you, Dan, if I may.
Sure.
How often does your parking lot right there at Cahoon turn over?
It
I mean,
depends. If it's not a nice day, then it turns over constantly, and we cancel the Funk Bus because it turns over so much that we don't need to shuttle people from
Okay.
Whitecrest. If it's a hot, sunny day, people will stay there all day long.
Right.
And on the weekends, very little turnover. On the weekdays, more turnover. More people are coming for lunch and not spending the whole day there.
And is it the same at that beach, that if you pay once, you can get back in if you leave? No, okay.
They get their money back, though, if they eat in the restaurant.
If they eat, yeah.
Right?
Sort of.
Sort of. Okay, whatever.
Bill of discount.
I don't know how that works.
They get a $20 voucher if they park in our lot, and then you can use that voucher inside for food or raw bar or T-shirts. That's why you see so many T-shirts.
Is it
Okay.
for any food or just the raw bar, the whole place? Any food. Any food. Yeah.
No booze.
Right.
Huh.
That's a
Sir?
This is just a thought. It's a police matter when they clog up that Ocean View Drive. You take your life in your hands to go up there. I'd rather go up Route 6 at 12 o'clock in the afternoon than go up Ocean View Drive. No offense, sir, the beachcombers are a cluster. And I'm a
There are police up there all day long.
Well, then they gotta ticket them and move them along because it's enforcement. Once you start, you got a half an hour to unload a bus, 10 minutes.
A half an hour to unload a bus?
Well, I've seen I don't even go that way anymore,
So then how would you know what's going on?
because I've tried to go up that road and it's clogged, sir.
Okay, well, I'm there every day, so.
Okay, and I'm telling you why I don't go up that road,
Okay.
it's clogged every day. And I'm afraid I'm gonna hit some tourist on a bicycle that cuts out in front of me. And no one ever tickets a bicycle person. So
Okay.
Ocean View Drive, in my opinion, isn't enforced. If you had a cop up there moving people along.
Mark Spiegel's on that road all day, and the bulk, he told us a few weeks ago, the bulk of his time is spent at the top of the hill there when it's crowded. And what he has done is he's, on the buses, or the larger buses, he's trying to encourage them to have slotting times when they come and when they go, so you don't have 10 of them there at the same time. So that might change this year a bit, but as we've been pointing out, we can't stop them from coming.
I get it,
Yeah.
but it becomes it becomes an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
You don't allow them to park there, or you give them 10 minutes or 5 minutes to load the bus.
Yeah,
Or widen the road so there's a lane there that you can push them over.
I don't know if we have the land for
Again,
that.
it goes back to the point that I said 2 meetings ago. When's enough enough? When are we full?
Well, I think one thing, when the beachcomber's full, you don't allow a line to form.
No, not at all.
So,
I mean, maybe John or Suzanne could speak to what goes on at the top of the hill the last couple of years. I know, maybe you haven't been up there in the last couple of years, but it's changed a lot up there.
Well, I went by a couple times this year, I thought I could scoot by, and I can't get, once I go down.
If you're gonna have more talk, we should come to a microphone. Okay.
So you want to know about the, the line there and what we do? Now we don't do anything. We used to do it ourselves and try to make people move along, but now the police take care of it. So when a line forms, we call the police, because it's not our job to stand in the middle of the road and get in front of cars and tell them to stop. We don't have the authority to do
Is this
that.
at Whitecrest or all of the
Whitecrest.
places? You do it for
Not
Newcomb's?
Whitecrest, I'm sorry, Cahoon Hollow.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mark has been a lifesaver for us because, literally, because he's a cop and he's got his cop car there and he's got his lights on.
People listen.
And if he needs help, he'll call another one. I don't think it's as much of a problem as it used to be.
Okay.
We used to have lines there for hours. And Mr. Anderson and I used to stand out there in front of cars, which we shouldn't have been doing, but we did it. And this year, I think it worked a lot better. So we don't have a line there all day long. We have a line there maybe a little bit in the morning now, especially if the beachcomber opens at 9 o'clock or a little before. There's no problem at all.
Yeah, Mark came and spoke to us last
Yeah,
last
I was
week.
supposed to come then, and I,
Said that the beachcomber cooperates, and he doesn't see any problems at all.
yeah, if they cooperate, we're fine. Yep.
And what happens when there's a line up at Whitecrest?
Well, we try to get them into the lot as fast as we can. It's not the same kind of problem as Cahoon Hollow. We don't have as many cars, and they don't go as far down the road. So as long as we can get them in quickly,
Which will improve this year with the kiosks.
It should.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what's going to happen with that is, we're just going to tell them to go in and park, then they'll walk over to the kiosk and get their ticket, put that on their dash, and we'll just check them later. So there won't be this stopping, going, and so on and so forth, and with change and all that stuff, and people asking questions. So they'll just go right in. So I don't think if we can do that, and of course we'll have to see, we will be good to go there. I mean, I think that's a wonderful thing to do.
But when you have lineups at LeCounts and Newcomb.
LeCounts is a problem because they start lining up down LeCount Hollow Road. And if, as you know, the road, Ocean View Drive comes down and there's a big curve and people are going at a fast rate of speed, and then there's only one lane. So people are trying to bypass the people that are in line on the other side, and it's like that. So we call the police as soon as that problem happens, and they've been very good about getting policemen there as soon as possible. And we'll go down, Mr. Anderson and myself or whoever else, and try to help out there with that, because if you let that line get too long, it's very dangerous, extremely dangerous. I'm surprised nobody's had a head-on collision there.
Do you think a sign, a large sign there saying no standing beyond this point or something, and leave enough for 6 or 8 cars would help, or?
No,
There
I
is?
think there is
Okay.
one,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah, some people don't read them,
Yeah,
don't read signs.
since we're,
We have stop signs in all of our booths.
right.
Does anybody stop? No. Be standing there, be pointing at the sign. Nope.
Now, how about with the kiosk, obviously there's going to be a learning curve. People are not going to be used to it. How would you recommend we educate them? A flyer if they're going to be paying, or, obviously you can tell them, go walk to the machine, but then they have to read the directions, and I mean, how can we
Well,
simplify the process?
After we find out what they're gonna be like and how we're gonna set it up and so forth,
Yeah.
I'm sure Suzanne and myself and Mr. Anderson will sit down and we'll figure out how we're gonna do it. But before that happens, we really can't say how it's gonna work. We've gotta know how the machine works and how long it takes for somebody to stick in their credit card or debit card, and how long it takes to get the ticket out, and so on and so forth. So it's just, at
But
this point,
that happens after they've parked.
what?
From what you were describing, that happens
If it
after
has-
they
Right,
have parked.
we're just gonna, they're all gonna be coming in, go park, and if it's really crowded, we'll have somebody back there guiding them to a parking space, and then they'll go over and they'll get their ticket. They'll come back to their car and put it on the dashboard.
And you'll still accept cash?
No.
If
No,
people only, so
no
it'll only be a
cash.
credit card only for
Right.
that parking lot?
Yeah,
Credit
trying to
card, debit.
eliminate cash, it's a
Right.
real
Yeah, I
liability,
agree.
I
I
think,
agree.
for the town and for us, and I don't wanna have teenagers there collecting $10,000 in a
It's tough.
fanny
yeah.
pack.
I mean, for their safety and for their own.
Yeah, for all of our
just to
safety,
protect
right,
them.
yeah. Myself, I don't wanna carry that
Right.
kind of money around in my car. I don't
Now
have
that I
to.
know you are, so. We'll be looking for you if you.
Sure, yeah.
So this solution is perfect. It's a perfect solution. We've been talking about it for a long time, but I hope that that can happen this year.
Do you think 2 kiosks will be enough in case of one malfunctions?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. That's my opinion. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we'll find out.
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put one at one end of the parking lot so that.
Well,
it's-
they're both gonna be in the exact same spot.
Okay.
So there'll be 2, and there'll be the way we were talking about it, a roof over it, and maybe a little bit of an enclosure in case
So
it's
people,
windy.
if they get there for the front lot, they have to cross the street to get to the kiosks. Is that right?
No.
The front parking lot, the way we've been talking, you might want
And
to,
just sticker only there?
we'll try it,
Yeah.
yeah. But maybe the front parking lot could be for resident stickers only, or something like that. Because most of the people that park and pay, park in the back.
And there aren't that many spaces in the front,
Right.
per se.
Well, there are quite a few spaces,
40 or
but
so.
you could easily fill those spaces with resident people. I think.
Yep.
And by residents, I mean,
Have a sticker.
yeah, that have a sticker and, you know, people that come here and rent a house and they can go in there. And that's another problem that we have in town here, is that people come here and they pay a lot of money to stay here, as you all know, maybe thousands of dollars for a week. They go and get a beach sticker and pay even more money. Then they come up to the beach, they can't park. Now, is that a good thing for Wellfleet? I think not. So what they see is all these people coming in there, paying cash and taking up their space. And those people that are paying cash, they're not staying here. They're coming from who knows where. East, yeah. They're coming from New Bedford and all these other places for the day.
Does the National Seashore have the same sort of issues at Marconi, just filling up quickly? And
That's a gigantic parking lot.
They have 1,000 spaces there.
yeah, I know.
I don't, all I know is when they fill up, then the overflow comes to Whitecrest.
And they charge for walkers and bicyclists too.
They do.
But no one can sue the federal government anyhow, so.
They don't charge for people walking in.
They don't?
No.
Someone told us.
Walk past the gate booth there, as of last summer, they're mandated to charge.
Yes, it
Oh,
was
they-
like a
they just
$5
started that
fee.
last
Yes, last summer, John.
Well,
Yep.
I'm wrong then. But I've walked in there, I never got charged.
So what, do you think there would, you know, one of the things we could consider to get more parking for the residents is to stop daily parkers and, you know, give up that income and increase the fees, parking fees enough to be a net gain or net zero or whatever.
Well, I don't really,
Or maybe weekends only you do it, you shut it down to dailies.
I mean, those are all options for the town. I'm not sure I agree with those options, but I think having people use a kiosk and their credit card would help out a great deal.
I mean, the last proposed plan that was done by the town, I think, increases that lot by 250 to 300 spaces if they were to do it. Would that, do you think that still could be handled with the staff you have? Or are you looking at 4 more staff members or 2 more staff members?
Well, if we have the kiosk, and then if we had that many more parking spaces, we'd probably have to have an additional kiosk or 2 or whatever. You could probably do it with 3 people there, I would think. And then what you have to remember is, even though we only have a certain amount of people at the beaches, we have the parking control people, and usually there's 3 or 4 of us. So if people need help, we're right there. We don't just drive around and write tickets.
How do you communicate, cell phones or walkie-talkies
We have radios.
or radios? Okay.
Yeah.
So they work on the beach or just up above?
Ours work pretty well up above, unless you're at LeCounts, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The lifeguards sometimes have trouble with their radios being down
That's
below the
being
gate.
addressed this year, isn't it?
But-
About getting new Wi-Fi connections or something down there? Yeah.
But they're state-of-the-art radios. I mean,
Yeah.
if we wanted them to work better, we'd have to get some kind of antenna
Yeah,
system.
the
Meters,
GIS.
Yeah. But they work pretty good. I
Satellite.
mean, I don't think that we're in danger or anything because the radios don't work. They work pretty good.
Do-
And actually, we give one to Mark, too, so he can
Yeah.
talk to us, and we can talk to him.
Do you recommend that anything significantly be done just for Labor Day, not Labor Day, but 4th of July this year, that would, to sort of alleviate the congestion?
Well, you know, 4th of July is a different animal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I know there was a lot of press about 4th of July this year, but to me, it really wasn't any different than any other 4th of July.
Because you filled up, just faster probably, yeah.
I mean, and then there were pictures of garbage and everything. There's always garbage on 4th of July. And actually, I think this year there was less garbage than normal, but a big deal was made out of it, and so everybody got all upset about all the garbage at Cahoon Hollow, but it wasn't anything unusual, as far as I was concerned. Usually they take out truckloads of garbage there on 4th of July. That's just the way it is. Now, the good part about the garbage is, even though people have a lot of garbage, they don't tend to leave it on the beach. So at least they have the capacity to bring their garbage up and throw it in a big pile.
Right.
If they left it on a beach, that would be,
Yeah.
although they leave some on the beach, but the lifeguards are able to take care of that. And they complain about that once in a while too, but I think the 4th of July is the worst. And after that and before that, it's not a big deal.
How often is the trash picked up, just once a day, or
Uh,
typically? I'm saying 4th of July week, do your folks pick
Well,
up the
the
trash?
beachcombers, I don't, are you guys doing the trash now, or are we doing it? What are we doing?
If I could.
Yeah.
Last summer, there was a new program of outsourcing the trash and the recyclables. So M.A. Fraser had the contract, and they had toters. Instead of trash barrels, 50-gallon, they had 4-yard toters, which I think bigger ones were put at Cahoon Hollow after the 4th of July, just for the capacity's sake. And they came up and checked them every morning, and I think they came in the afternoon. It was a question of getting their trucks in and out, so they don't come midday to check to do the trash, so they can't get in. And I think that made a big difference, and I haven't checked with M.A. Fraser to see what Bubba thinks about whether the recycling was a success or not. Sometimes people are really, really good about it. Sometimes they go, oh, look, something with a lid, and they throw it in, including bags of trash on top of the big blue storage container we have next to the bathrooms at White Crest, because they think it's a giant dumpster. And they just huck bags up there. I had actually a constructive thing to say that I don't remember right now. I mean, if it comes to me, I will.
Probably getting off the topic anyhow on trash versus parking.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Any other questions for John or Mr.
but-
Anderson?
John was saying 4th of July from the beach management point of view wasn't any worse than usual. I do know that Mike Hurley, Lieutenant Hurley, has a line in the budget for this year, special for 4th of July. There'll be extra details from other towns, state police involved, a lot of extra equipment deployed, signs. So there'll be oversight and high visibility for that from the 4th through that. We're assuming it's the following week, because I think the 4th falls on a Thursday this year, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So we're hoping to take that 4-day period and turn it into something people can have fun, but they're being watched.
State of affairs today.
I think we were told the town doesn't enforce the no drinking on the beach rule. I mean, it's there, but they don't enforce it.
It's there if they need to enforce
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the seashore allows it as long as it's not glass, I think, if you're on the seashore portion.
Yeah, and it's all about behavior, I think.
Yeah.
If you're not having a brawl or.
John, one of the things that we're thinking about doing is collecting data. But collecting data about
Collecting
how
data.
the parking lots turn over and all that. But speaking for myself, I don't see that there's any data that's gonna change our behavior and change our recommendations.
No,
I
the
don't
only
know.
thing that could change the parking, in my opinion, and maybe Dan here won't agree with me, but if there wasn't a shuttle to the Beachcomber, I don't think we'd have a parking problem at White Crest. That's just my opinion,
Okay,
and I've been doing this for 11 years now. And of that time before the shuttle, we didn't have as much of a problem as we have now. The problem that we have is, and to their credit, I mean, they have a wonderful business, everybody wants to go there, but we're, basically, the town is subsidizing, as far as I'm concerned, their business by allowing them to run a shuttle back and forth between White Crest and the Beachcomber. How you can improve that or do anything else, I don't know. It's my opinion that if the shuttle wasn't there, not as many people would use White Crest to park to go to the Beachcomber because they couldn't get on a shuttle and they don't want to walk that far with all their stuff.
but they'd probably get on the road and walk.
Well, I'm saying that I don't think that as many people would
Okay,
because they wait and do the shuttle. And I hope this doesn't upset Dan and the Beachcomber people, but that's just my personal opinion as a citizen and not an employee, but.
I think we've had some indication from some of the data that the preponderance of the Whitecrest parkers are going to Cahoon Hollow and likely to the Beachcomber.
I would say on a busy day, on a Saturday or a Sunday, and the weather's good, that more than half of the people, and I don't know how much more than half, because I've never really been able to quantify it, are going to the Beachcomber.
Well, Dan, you did some calculation.
Considerably more than half.
Yeah,
based on the
considerably
amount
more
of-
than
Yeah,
half.
he's
The
had
amount of people that ride on the,
Right,
if you say 4 people per carload,
exactly, right, yeah. So I'm just,
But that would lead me to believe, I mean, the Whitecrest doesn't fill that often besides Saturday and maybe warm Sundays during the summer.
Well,
in general.
actually, Whitecrest fills pretty much any day that it's really hot and it's really nice weather. We'll fill up, not as quickly, but you guys will fill up, and then the overflow come, and finally, maybe about 12 or 1 o'clock, we'll fill up for a period of time. It won't be for the whole day. And then once people go down to your place and have lunch and stuff and come back, then it'll start to empty out a little bit. So in that sense, I think Whitecrest fills up, it's hard for, how many days would you think? It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, it depends on the weather.
One of the
All
thing,
about weather.
one of the data gathering, or one of the many data gathering items we're going to try to get this year is to ask the parking lot attendants to, there's a list in our notes here, but, keep track of the, maybe not them, but the weather, when it fills up or what time it fills up. And also at Whitecrest, we're going to ask them to keep track of how many turnaways they have. They drive up, I can't get a spot, and they move on and try to find another spot. So we can try to track what the potential demand is for daily parkers up above and beyond, or daily and stickered parkers above and beyond.
Well, I think that's a lot to ask for, a teenage kid that's standing there trying to do their job and then count how many people are turned away and this and that and the other thing. I mean, you're talking hiring an additional person to just do that. I mean,
Which I think for 12, for whatever number it is a year, I think you said they make about $6,000 a year. I mean, I think that's probably 1/10 of what we'd have to pay an outside consultant firm to do or something. I think it's information, because if we're going to expand the parking lot at some point, I know the people that are opposed say, prove to us it's going to pay for itself. And unless we can say that the ratio of monthly or daily parkers to Wellfleet parkers is X, and do some extrapolation and prove that on average you will pay for it, besides the natural disruption of natural land and all, that it's not going to happen, I don't think, unless we have that kind of information.
Well, if you want us to do that, then the town should consider how many more people.
Just need one more person at Whitecrest.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to see and try it out. We give enough for these people to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying you need.
Maybe
we
it'll
have
be
to think-
easier with kiosks because they won't have to be dealing with money.
Right.
Yeah. But
The other thought I had, which seems to be too expensive at the time, is to put up cameras. You don't have to. You just put up a camera, for 5 cameras, $250 a piece. And we could also hook them up to the web, so if someone's in Eastham, they could look up and see if there's any parking. They don't drive all the way down here for nothing. But that's probably another year.
Yeah. Well, I was in saying that, I'm not sure how that would work, but if there was a way to track someone leaving, I mean, once a person leaves,
You'd have to have gates.
but they might,
then you'd have to have a gate
might
where
come
you're
back.
sort of
Scanners,
checking. Yeah,
yeah.
they may come back, but you're
a
not
lot of people leave and
saving
come back because they go and
Yeah.
buy their lunch somewhere and
by-
come back.
yeah.
Well, that gets into even the further step is if you get into license plate recognition, when they come and when they go, but that's, even
That's
more.
Well, that can be done, but you're talking big
Oh, yeah,
bucks
big
for that.
bucks, but I just did talk to a company this week that says, that what they do is they monitor construction sites. You can either do it live, or you can take a picture every 15 seconds or whatever you want, and that's how they build these, when someone's building a building, that's how they build these films that show the building going up in a matter of, 30 seconds. And that's, you could do it that way fairly cheaply, and I think you said.
But how technical do you want to get? We've got a season of 10
2
weeks.
Right.
So, I mean, how much money do we want to spend doing stuff like that? As a citizen, I would say keep the expenses down if we can. We're spending way too much money as it is.
Well, the marina is already cambered. The marina has full cameras, which is not your problem, but it is a problem for us.
Go for it.
Does the shuttle bring people to Newcomb?
No.
So it's just strictly,
We started off, we were gonna do all the beaches, but people just wanna go to
right,
Newcomb.
okay. Yeah, they really don't want to have to do that, okay.
I mean, if they wanna go to Newcomb, they go to Newcomb. If
Right.
they wanna go to LeCount, they go to LeCount. If they wanna go to Coon Hall, they go to Coon Hall until it's
right.
full, and then they go
And
to
then they'll go to
Whitecrest.
the Whitecrest.
I mean, your comment that we're, subsidizing the beach car, I think they made some good points when the price went from 20 to 40, that, you know, they're also employing, I don't know, 85 people. They spend like almost $2 million a year on vendors in town. So they are, you know, supplementing other people in town. They're supporting other people in town.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But why couldn't another business in town provide their own shuttle to go to, say, the Pearl? Come up to
Well, they-
Waitrose. I am just saying.
Yeah. Well, doesn't most every restaurant
yeah.
in town enjoy subsidized parking on the town?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Is there one business in town that doesn't have subsidized parking?
No, I'm not, I'm just saying.
May change.
I just gave
Saying, I
my
mean,
opinion.
That's
I'm just,
part of our-
you know,
A bookstore in Mayo.
I'm not
the
saying
Pearl.
anything against the Beachcomber or whatever.
I know, I know.
You have a
But I
nice
mean, those people
business.
pay $30 for the luxury of having a spot to park to come down. So basically,
Well, hopefully next year we'll have more data to digest, so we can determine exactly what's going on as far as who's coming and who's going and when they're filled.
I'm wondering what kind of data we're gonna get that's gonna be useful.
Well, I think whether they're filling or not is useful, because, you know, why put in more spaces if they're only filling 3 days a year, or not 3 days a year,
Are
but.
we gonna collect that for Newcomb's and LeCount?
No, I think, well, I would recommend filling, when does it fill for all beaches on the ocean side? And I would only recommend turnaways at Whitecrest. But, you know, keeping track of how many people is turned away. I know this is a lot, but one would be how many want to pay and how many want to are stickered and can't get in. So, but that's,
Okay.
anecdotally, John said there's 500 spots and 3,000 people who want to park there.
Yeah,
So that's,
that's
I
a
mean, he's
lot.
there every single day.
That's
So I
right.
think it's pretty.
I don't want to get into something I didn't hand out, but I did do an analysis for next meeting maybe, that the differential, depending on what assumptions you make, isn't that significant. I mean, if everybody wanted to go, yes, but everybody doesn't want to go. Like the seasonal people, you have to assume how many people that have the 7,000 or 8,000 seasonal tickets that we have that are residents go to the beach, and that's what the survey will help figure out. I figured 10% on any given day, maybe 15 on weekends, because they don't bother to try to go. So I think I came down to, there was only like a 300, 200, 120 on the best of days, not July 4th, but any other best of days, only like 100 space shortfall, with the assumption that everything else gets filled up and that kind of thing. But we can go through that at another point in time.
Okay.
May I ask one quick question? In the past, we've talked about making Whitecrest a locals-only beach or resident-only. Do you see, do you get a sense of who parks at Whitecrest? Do, like, year-round residents park there? Or is it,
You know what, I think less year-round residents park at Whitecrest than any of the other beaches.
okay,
That's my sense.
my sense?
So, mainly because you can pay to park at Whitecrest. And residents don't want to go there because it gets crowded and
No.
they don't want to deal with that. So they want to go to LeCount's or Newcomb. And if they could possibly get into the Beachcomber, they'd probably like to go there too, have some lunch and stuff. But, so that's my opinion.
When was the last time we had stairs at any of the beaches? 10 years ago, or?
When I was a child,
Remember ever having stairs?
well, back in the 60s, 50s and 60s and 70s, they used to nail together
Slats, yeah.
2x6s with cross pieces.
Right,
And put them down the dune so people have kind of a toehold,
right,
but they're not allowed to do that anymore.
right, okay.
That was the Ice Age, Suzanne.
But I had dinosaurs.
Then they just get washed away anyway.
Back when parking wasn't a problem.
Look at the seashore at Marconi. The
Yeah.
thing
They
gets
build it-
washed away every year, just about.
Valid point, they can.
Are they turning away people, do we know? Do we have any idea?
Marconi?
Yeah.
On a busy holiday weekend or a big
Yeah.
hot weekend, they turn away people, and we know because they come to Waycrest, they tell us they came from, they don't want to park there,
Yeah.
but it's the only alternative, and usually when they get there, we don't have a space for them anyways.
Their daily's 20, isn't it? The town, what, is Marconi $20?
It is.
20 foot long.
Okay. And then I guess you can, like I have a senior pass, you can get in for free if you have a national park senior pass.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I was just gonna ask a question. And I like Suzanne, I just forgot what it was. Shoot.
It'll come
I
back.
think it was good. If it comes back to me, I'll let you be the judge of it.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
Oh, I know what it was, I'm sorry. Would it be helpful to have, you know how they have signage at Salt Pond there about the status of the parking lots of the National
Oh, if it's
Seashore?
full or not?
Yeah, so if we had something between Marconi and the rest of
It
us,
says Whitecrest is full?
yeah.
I guess it would be helpful. I don't know how you would do it, but we have one sign in town that does that.
But it has to be, that one can't be remotely changed,
It has
right?
to be programmed by somebody actually right there.
Right. So
And
that
the only
would-
one that I know that can do that is Ron, chief.
Chief, Ron
Can
would
it be
have to sit in the
modified to be-
parking lot all day and monitor those
There are
parking
signs
spots.
that can be programmed remotely from your smartphone by
Right.
satellite. And so if we're going to spend money for a sign, I would recommend a big one that will have parking status for all 4 of our beaches.
Right,
And that could be changed in the moment
Right.
right.
by myself or John or somebody else on the supervisory staff. Can go to the website and just click in the different information.
Can you lease those as opposed to buying them, since it's only 2 or 3 months a year?
Well, I'm pretty sure this chief of police would love a big fancy sign to
Okay.
add to his collection, so it would be a cross-departmental purchase. It wouldn't just be for beaches.
Well, you could use it for
Oyster Fest would like it, they would like it during emergencies, elections, what else happens in Wellfleet?
Right, I mean, I know we have that one that does do that for the elections, but it would be, it'd be interesting, it might be helpful. I mean, I'm not saying this year in particular, we'd have to look at the cost and,
Well, many years ago, back when I had a BlackBerry, and I had one, price went out for $15,000, so I'm sure it's probably like $30,000 now.
for that whole system.
Uh-huh, the whole system.
it would
You
be
own
information.
it.
Then you own it, yes, yes.
Well, that's another time. We
Could have used one for MassDOT.
Do you think that the parking lot situation is fluid enough, or too fluid, that, you know, by the time you type in the lot's full, there's 10 open spots, and we'd probably be losing money too, if we just say the lot's full at Whitecrest, and all of a sudden 10 people leave, you're gonna have to have someone
What I'd like to,
scurrying to type in, it's open now, and then by the time they get there, it might be full, and I don't know, it sounds.
when and if the federal government
Gets back.
resumes operation, I can check with the head ranger about their time lapse on their parking signs and how effective it is for them, because they have it for, and also Nauset Beach does it for Nauset and Skakit. I could check with Nate Sears and see how it works for timing for them. And that was a really good question that I hadn't thought of. So before we spend a lot of money, I have to check out, see if it really is worthwhile.
I have often thought that, I mean, is that sign correct right now? Because it would be maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it will say it's full, and I'm like, is it really still full? I wonder if it is, and.
And what would you
They
say? Let's go
haven't-
find out.
Yeah,
what
yeah, that's what I
anyway.
would, if I
The
wanted to go
person who
there.
was in charge of changing it got off at 3, so who knows?
Yeah,
You just shut the sign off at that point.
yeah, I know, but it doesn't, so.
You could have a feature on the bottom that just says, "Just kidding."
Okay,
Okay,
I think we'll keep on moving here if
All
we
right.
can. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Excellent.
Everybody, yeah.
Very-
Yep. Now I gotta find an agenda.
We're on the surveys.
Yeah, surveys. The survey data that I was after by the parking lots is on the bottom of the agenda at the back page. And as I said to John, I'm not sure I understand what we're going to get from this data, other than we know that the parking lots fill up. And so if we can't do anything about it, why get the data?
I'm sorry, which one?
Okay.
are you
Back of the
talking about?
agenda,
Back to the agenda,
Yeah,
data by sites.
data by sites. I was thinking that this is the type of information that we'd like to get individually for Newcombs, for little counts, for blah, blah, and see what kind of data, but if you get all that data and you realize you need more parking, what are you gonna do about it? So, I think we've got that anecdotally sufficiently
know
enough now, so.
especially with our 3,500 available,
Yep.
so.
It's not that bad, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Well, the next one that I had on the agenda was the business survey. And that was directed at businesses in town. And I had thought, and I'm open for thoughts, that we would be trying to capture some data about turnover and where do people park. And again, I think we're going to find that there are more cars than parking, but if we got some information, we might be able to impact some of the rules. I mean, I sent you all the rules that are out there, and the fact that there's 2-hour parking and 4-hour parking in downtown. Is that too much? Is that too little? So you know, the thought was that we should talk to the businesses, and I don't know if there are other people that we should be talking to, but it was directed at businesses, so. Thoughts by people?
That's the commercial survey you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's titled business.
Business, yeah. And how was that going to be distributed? Chamber of Commerce and?
Well, that's up for grabs too. I think there are a couple things that we could distribute it through the business licenses that are in town, and that's probably a more complete listing than members of Chamber of Commerce, who are probably a lot of them, but not all of them. And I think I understand that Dale made a comment that we probably ought to defer that until closer to the season, so
Yeah.
so we get more attention. But you know, if there are questions that you think ought to be going on there, we can do it. If there's some that are useless, we ought to get rid of them.
Now, you're thinking of doing this, inviting them online via an email or those that don't, or snail mail if necessary, and then have it be an online survey that they log into, so we can collect the data automatically?
I would hope so.
I think I mentioned it. We were talking about SurveyMonkey, which I did take the Marina survey and turn it into a SurveyMonkey, but didn't print it out yet because we haven't finished the questions. It is simple to set up. It does keep track. There's some deficiencies in it that you can't put all the information you want in it, but I think we can get around that. But I subsequently found out that the town already has Constant Contact, of which at least know Dan Hort is using it, because he uses it for distributing his emails, as well as I believe the Shellfish Department uses it for their, and Constant Contact does have a survey capacity. So we'd have 2 databases already online that we could use. So we might want to focus on Constant Contact, and it seems to be cheaper and more robust. And you know, like, we use it at work, and we have I think maybe 20,000 people in our database for marketing, and it costs us $200 a month to use it. And that way you can also track who responded. If, you know, you can make it confidential, but you can also get the email addresses of the people that did respond and develop your database for future years.
So I just wanted to add that I saw Laura Henry today, who's the director of the chamber, telling her about this committee and, you know, the problems. So I would suggest sending her the survey, and she'll just, I mean, in one day, she'll send it out to all the chamber people. And I would suggest getting it out sooner rather than later, because even if they're vacationing somewhere, the owners are vacationing, they can, it's a good survey, by the way. I looked at all the surveys. I said, how'd they think of all those questions? It's very thorough, I thought. But, you know, get the survey out there and just let people know that we're thinking about it, and get the answers back sooner rather than later. So, but she could easily and will easily just send it out to all the chamber
Okay.
businesses, which is a majority.
Which is probably a majority, is probably good enough.
Yeah.
and Certainly more efficient.
And would include, Airbnb type places too.
Okay.
One question I asked of Dan, and he didn't get back to me on this part, he got back to me on other things, was how do we pay for this in the short term? Because we have to do it quickly. And if you did the Marina through Survey Monkey, it was gonna be about $1,000 or $1,200 with tax. Because you have to buy a year's survey, so they have so many, we'd have so many responses. If it's less than 1,000 responses, it's only $34 a month. But is that something that's in our budget, or?
So, at the dredging committee the other day, I just said, don't worry about the cost, just do it.
Okay.
So, this is important, and so get the prices or whatever, whether constant comment?
Constant contact.
Contact. I don't want constant comment.
Yeah.
But, or Survey Monkey, just figure it out, and, you know, I think there's always $1,000 or so, 2,000 extra somewhere in the budget.
So we don't have to approach the like, you don't have to approach the marina folks to get their share of it, it's just, the town will pay for it.
No, but if they have a lot of money, they can, they can pay for the whole thing.
I think Joe
don't
said it
know.
might be a
I don't know
problem.
about everybody's budget, and Dan has it all probably at the top of his head in many ways, since it's budget time. But yeah, I think amounts like that where everyone's been working for 6 months, it's been a problem for 6 years, I think that the money can be found.
I just have a question while
Mm-hmm.
Janet's standing up.
Microphone.
Regarding complaints and stuff like that, do you log that stuff? Is that logged?
If
or
we
is
get
that
a letter, yes. You mean,
calls, like, do you have a record of how many people call and what they're calling about?
you know, people don't call anymore.
Email.
Like, I'll get like 2 people since the summer calling me, and they kind of know me. So I don't think, you know, I would think I'd like to find out from Jeannie McLaughlin about the tickets and what she has to deal with tickets, how many people come in and complain.
And what about email complaints?
Those we keep. Those we keep. And, you know.
Something that the task force could get a look at?
I mean, yeah, anything regarding parking?
Yeah.
I would say, yes. I mean, somewhere somebody has those, I'm sure. I know they do.
I mean, that would be.
Isn't it on the
Yeah.
bottom of the selectmen's meeting minutes, what correspondence came in for the week? or
Yes,
something?
yes. So Jean McLaughlin would have all the correspondence. Yeah, we're legally required to keep them, so she's got them all.
Okay. And is that
I have-
public information? Is that something we could?
Yes, yeah, and if you, yeah, we
I
can
think
get
that's
that.
worth looking at, obviously.
I have
That's
to
people who are
say-
motivated to complain. Those are people who actually have a problem.
So I've been a select person for about almost 3 years. And I would say the complaints I get about the beaches is people who know me or see me on the street. I have to say, I don't think we've ever gotten, I mean, I'll say one letter, you know, angry that they couldn't get in. So they're not doing it by letter, or that would include email too. It's really people.
And what about the, like, parking in town and things like that? or the
Well, so,
pier?
and that's verbal too. And then I'm now, for the last year, I've been asking people. So I'll ask people like I'll ask people in town, are you having trouble finding parking? You know, I'll ask businesses, and I just asked Laura Henry if she has trouble parking and days in town when she can't find a place to park, to use the businesses. So it's, to me, a lot of it is really just meeting people and talking to them.
Just to make a comment that the chamber is having their monthly networking at Seashore tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. And if I didn't have to be in Hyannis at 7,
Yeah, I'm not
I
gonna,
talked to Al
I
at the
would.
liquor store, and I asked, is that a good place to make a presentation? And he said, no.
No,
It really
they give
isn't.
you a few minutes. It wouldn't be a bad thing if one of us could stop by and say, I'm a member of the parking, you know, the infamous parking committee, and I might be able to even do that, and that we are really interested in helping you and the town have enough turnover so that people can at least do their shopping. I mean, you know, I know that it's saying here, do they come to you or other businesses? There's times I run downtown, if I get a parking space, I go run into the bank, I'll run into the market.
yeah.
I might run over to Hatches if I need something there, and pretty much go on my way. I'm not, when I came as a summer resident, I shopped more in the shops for gifts
Yeah,
to bring
easy,
back
yeah,
and all of
yeah.
that. So that's not always my priority, but I am usually there to hit off a couple of chores
Yeah.
at one time, and I think if there were a regular every 2-hour turnover of people.
There
And one time
isn't,
I-
there isn't.
Yeah, and one time I did run into the bank, and there was a parking spot, somebody parked halfway on their parking spot, which left
Right.
the legitimate, it was by a handicap, so I was kind of halfway on the handicap, and I just was running into the ATM, and I came out, and there was a police officer writing me a ticket, a nice big fat ticket, which I could go and, which I did. I went up and explained to him immediately. I've only been here about a minute and a half, and he said, well, it's written and I can't like tear it up, so this is where you go if you wanna see if you can have it taken care of.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I did, I was successful.
But an
But
easy
if I was
place,
grossly in that parking spot and I had
Yeah.
been sitting there for a while, not only would I deserve that ticket, but I doubt if I.
well, there are people who do
Yes, I know.
park in handicap
And
spots
that was-
all the time.
And that was some, that was
Yeah.
because of the way it was lined up.
Like
So
at-
it-
yeah.
Somebody
That's
wasn't
not a
parking
Wellfleet thing.
right the first time.
Yeah.
Universal, yeah.
So, yeah, I would start easily with the Chamber of Commerce, just get something out to them, and, yeah, little, one paragraph to Laura saying, we'd really appreciate you sending this out.
Okay.
I have a thought on, because your number 13 talks about paid parking. I mean, my thought is, why don't we just ask the essential question? Would you be in favor or not of paid parking? I think that's, if I was a merchant, I'd just like to be asked straight out. And I say
Okay.
yes or no.
Yeah, I
You
kind of
know?
agree with that.
Let's not be subtle about these things, you know?
And we're not talking, big, heavy, it's not like $10 for the,
Right, oh,
or
no, it's
$2. I mean, it's gonna be a reasonable thing, but something to get you in and out of there, so. And then you can stagger that. Actually, you could have it like so many dollars in the main street.
But we don't need to get,
Less,
just the
yeah.
concept here.
Right,
of
no, I
what they
agree.
think
I
about
think,
it.
I
Okay. All right. Well,
The other thing, just about that survey, that I have to find out, whatever survey system we use, if you have a box to fill in, how hard is it to sort through that data? For the businesses, we may not have, you only have a couple hundred, but if you're talking about the people with stickers, it might be over 1,000 or more. If you had a lot of comment sections, it's gonna be a lot to
I'm
get.
sorry, what stickers are you talking about?
Parking sticker, residence parking sticker for the beaches. If you put a
the
lot of
beaches.
comment sections in that survey, it's gonna be hard to
Yeah.
gather the data.
Danny, I would recommend where it says contact,
Yep,
maybe be more specific, phone number and email, maybe?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
phone.
that's a good idea.
Right, phone.
Yep. With those changes, do we want to say this is what we'd like to ask the chamber to do, or do you want to think about it some more?
No,
Looks fine to me.
yes, so by saying private parking spaces, how many for employees? Customers.
What about, and I don't know, did I miss it, would you pay for your employees to have parking? Would you subsidize employee parking? Could be something to that effect?
But then you have to provide it. Where are you gonna provide it? You're gonna
I
set-
don't know. Well, we'll create it. We'd have money to create it. And I bring this up because when I had my store in Provincetown, my key people, who came from Wellfleet, I paid $200 for them to have you have to, it's everything's paid, $200 a piece for them to have parking. You have to do that for your employees up there.
At the-
Otherwise, they're paying $10 a day. And
Where was that at?
in Provincetown?
Oh, Provincetown, right. I can see
Yeah.
that there, but.
Pretty common. And for me personally, because I parked at Duart's at that time, I think my personal parking for the summer was $400. And that would go from April to November. The reason I did that is because I came at different times and it was closer, and I wanted to always make sure I had parking, and that was private. But I used to buy my employees their parking
Yeah.
passes.
That would be
And
the
I-
marina?
There is
They
a
could park at
business
the
in
marina or the
town. I'm
schools.
kidding you, but-
Okay. Yeah, please do. That's good. Right.
This is- Yeah.
That's a lot.
There is a business in town who does pay the Congo Church or the Methodist Church
That's right.
for their employees. I don't know what they pay them, I can easily find out, but that they have their employees. I don't know if it's all the time, just on weekends, but, yeah, there are businesses that are already thinking about that do have, a restaurant that really has a lot of turnover and they're open all day. And they pay, but it could be something to, I don't know. I don't think the town would pay for it, but I think businesses could pay for it. And they could even pay for a shuttle. One business person, I said, how would you like a shuttle going around town for your employees and for the customers? And they all liked it, so.
Well, and it would alleviate if we do start charging at the pier, if we said.
Well, that's part of
right?
the, yes, that was in reference to everybody parking at the pier.
Oh,
So.
Employees
we just
parking-
tran-
No, no, no.
We just transfer the problem, though.
no, I was
don't
No,
thinking
no, no,
more
not
that,
if- no,
say I work
yeah.
at the Pearl, say I own the Pearl, my employees need to park, we would,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would come to me and say, if we set them up, if your employees could park at the Congo Church for
Yeah.
$5
that-
instead
yeah,
of
that makes sense,
$10 here, would that be a good solution for
Right.
you, right? And then maybe we take care of two in one.
And was it your group or, again, I read like 20 emails a day, so forgive me. Somebody just recommended that employees could park, especially this summer, because nothing's going on up there. We haven't decided about buses or anything, but that the elementary school, the employees could park there, and it would be a somewhat easy walk into town. But I know the business I spoke with had the parking at the Methodist Church, and the employees liked it better because they knew the parking was there, and it's just like right there to go into town, so. And that's something, that the chamber should really weigh in on.
I don't think that's something we should fund, or the town should fund. It should be
No, I don't think
No.
so either.
a user
No.
fee. But a shuttle bus isn't cheap unless you just say it's going to be available from 9 to 10 and from 4 to 7 or whenever you close your
Yeah,
store.
yeah.
Because,
And
That
it could
sounds
get-
like a challenge.
It could get tied back into, remember early, when the gentleman was here doing the presentation, we said maybe the churches want to have a kiosk, maybe employees could have
Oh, yeah.
different pricing on the
Might be a
kiosks.
cheaper way to
Just
do
a
it.
thought,
They have to pay for it.
right?
Yeah,
You said your buses, the Funk bus costs what, 85, 65 or
We'd have their
$85?
own, the
$5.
Yeah, so
the church
a
would run a
day,
kiosk.
a day
per
it costs?
hour.
An hour.
Yeah. Well, so,
You have to have a lot of cars parking to make it pay for itself.
So the high school has these electric small vehicles now, small buses. And they have said that they would love it if the town, this is when we were first talking about using a shuttle bus on Ocean View Drive. They would love it if the town rented those from them because they could then also keep someone employed and it would be really minimal. And they have a new fleet of electric, has anyone seen them? They're a small school bus.
That's not a bad solution.
Yeah.
If we could work out a economical
Yeah.
win-win with them, where they're at least being paid enough to pay a person year-round,
Yeah,
and the gas, I
yeah.
guess.
No
and-
gas, electric,
I mean, electric,
Yeah.
that's right. So,
so.
better, and it looks so much
Yeah, and it wouldn't be,
Well, let me,
sticking
let me,
people up,
let
so
me,
that's
I'm
another.
sorry, but let's get
Okay.
back on to.
Okay, the survey.
What are we doing here?
All right,
Are
so-
we ready to let this survey go to
Well,
the
we're gonna
Chamber of
make those
Commerce?
couple of changes. We're gonna have the number 13 saying, would you be in favor of timed parking fees?
Yep, paid parking.
Paid parking fees, and change,
And-
and
and
put the
then-
contact email.
And we had another question of would you pay for employees to park off-site?
Right.
And are we trying to do this one online since it's only 150 people or so, or are we not?
Well, what I'd love to do is to see if Laura will do it for us.
Yeah, I think so.
And
Yeah, we
that's,
could
that's
just-
the way I would like to approach it. And we collect the data, or they collect the data, and we can just analyze the data. I don't think this will be too big.
Manually, to do it
yeah.
manually, all right.
Yeah,
So I would have a suggestion. So since she is the chamber and she's.
well, she's the employee.
Business, well, she's an
Yeah.
employee, but she represents them. Maybe send it to her, say, this is what we have come up with and what, and if you, could you look at this? Is there something missing? I mean, maybe she's thinking, maybe there's something that
Yeah.
she has
No, that's
seen
a
in
good
her.
suggestion.
Is there something missing? Is there something redundant? And if you're if you feel not, would you send this? If you have recommendations, send it back to me, I'll make those corrections, and then you can,
Well,
Send it
it'd be
back.
nice to hear from her before we go out to the public.
right,
Yeah,
sure.
Or that public, so.
I
So
think,
it would be good
So
to,
I think the idea of washing the survey through the chamber staff and maybe some of their
right,
honchos or
I
something.
think they could maybe have
Do
some,
it pretty quickly.
yeah, I think they would, I mean,
did you say you were putting at the bottom where it says contact, phone contact, and an email line?
yeah,
Yeah.
doing that, I think it's ready to go.
It's ready to go to Laura
To
and
Laura.
the chamber.
Right,
Yeah.
just for her
All right.
comment and distribution.
I'm happy to do it unless somebody else wants to do it.
I can do it tomorrow, if you want to send me, yeah, I have it, so I'll make those changes, I should be able to make the changes
I
online.
can send them to you.
Well, I did download it today, so I should be able to see if I can get in there, if not, then you'd have to resend
Okay.
it, so I could fool with it,
All right.
if it's a PDF. Okay.
Oh, the other thing, I don't know if you want to incorporate from the one I threw together for the, at the bottom, the thing about results in our meetings, at the same time notify them they can come to our meetings and talk. I don't know if that adds another page or half a page, but it's up to you.
Yeah,
Well, we might want to redo the introduction too. so.
Yeah, or add number 18 to that survey from the other survey, which tells
we
you can go.
meet this.
Yeah, that you can go to the task force to comment. The results will, well, in this case, the results will be available probably this spring, not in the fall.
And their attendance is welcome, and
Yep.
Yeah,
the
but
schedule.
yeah, just look
is-
at, yeah. You can copy and purge what you don't need.
Okay,
And the one thing in here, and we have it everywhere, is the task force will not deliberate or vote on any matter that's raised at the beginning of the meeting. It seems kind of harsh. That's by law though, right?
That's the open meeting law.
Yeah, can't we just say, according to the open meeting law, we can't deliberate as opposed to saying we won't? Just a little softer. Okay.
You're changing the agenda or whatever?
No, yeah, just change the intent, that it's not, we're not the ones saying we can't deliberate, it's the state.
It
All right, well,
was.
leave it that way then, all right.
Exactly right.
I'll leave it the way it is.
Okay, how about the pier? Joe, you want
okay.
to, are we ready to move on to the pier?
Yes.
We may lose our recording, but that's life.
Okay. I'm tape recording, so.